Okay, so welcome everybody to the World of Ability Podcast Network. My name is Marilyn Lamer and a podcast engineer here. And we're excited to bring you another episode of the World of Nutrition. I do every month on the second Friday at 6 o'clock Central here. And so talking about kind of nutritional and lifestyle kinds of things, everything connected with that. But I am going to bring in Marilyn to kick us off today and introduce our great guest today.
All right, thank you. Well, hello, Emily. I'm Marilyn Lamer. I help host the World of Nutrition podcast. So this is nutrition for your body, mind, and soul. And I'm so thankful today to have two amazing guests. So my first guest, his name is Joe Haslem. And let me tell you a little bit about him. So with over 31 years of human resource experience, 5 years as a relationship coach, Joe has successfully guided over 100 clients toward personal and professional growth. A retired Navy veteran with 20 years of service, he brings a unique perspective to coaching, combining leadership, discipline, and empathy to help individuals achieve their fullest potential in relationships and in life. So Joe, thank you so much for being here. Please tell us a little bit more about what you do.
Thank you. That was so great. I had to look around and make sure that you were talking about me. So what I like to do is bring people together. That 20 years of military, of Navy experience, I have gotten to speak to and witness so many different kinds of relationships, and get to see how people get into relationships and unfortunately end up getting out of relationships and keep on finding the same people over and over again. And so what I like to do is help people to stop dating the same person, with a different face. It seems to be that rerun, that Groundhog Day, if you will, and you're out here dating and you find the same person over and over and over again, and you keep wondering, why is this happening? So I'm the person that you come to get out of that cycle, to get out of that rat race, to figure out what it is about me that keeps attracting the same person that I keep saying I don't want. And so that's my specialty in this.
I love that. And so I'm curious, like what sort of tips or things do you have people look out for?
So the first thing that I do is to get people to see what part they played in it, because it's so easy to point the finger, right? Like, I've been married a couple times myself and have been divorced a couple times myself. So it was once I took a class and I got to start taking responsibility for my actions and the part that I played in things, it was when my eyes and my world opened up to, I don't have to keep doing the same cycle over and over again. But the biggest thing is, everything starts with me. And once I was able to take that responsibility and take back that control, because when you blame, you lose all control. And so you put it on everybody else. And so when I was able to take that back, it really opened up doors for me, and it opened up doors for me to be able to help other people.
That's so beautiful. Take responsibility. So for people that may not understand this language, could you please like dive in a little bit more? How do people take responsibility?
Great question. Great question. And so one of the big ways that you can take responsibility is that you can really sit down and you can dive into, okay, what went wrong? Where is the point in the relationship where you can see, like, maybe the jump off point where things started taking a turn for the worse? And a lot of times when you really sit down in quiet, it really started before that really explosion point where everything just seemed like it went wrong. It really started maybe months, or even for some folks, even years before that. And so once you're able to pinpoint that, then it's like, okay, what part did I play in this? What did I actually do? How did this actually come about? And when you actually start seeing those things, it's like, oh my God, I really did have something to do with this. And just stop pointing the finger, because when you point the finger, it's always three pointing back at you. And so once you start realizing that, it's like, okay, what part did I play in it? And it's like, oh no, no, I was 100% the victim. I was 100%. It's like, I didn't do anything wrong. It's like, well, you could start with choosing that person. Why did you decide to date that person? Why did you decide to open yourself up to that person? And so it can go as easy as that.
Yeah, and something that I remember is some of the conversations that we've had is, with all of our with all our relationships that we've been in, we are the common denominator. So
We
taking
really are.
responsibility, yes.
Yes, I remember years and years and years ago, maybe I think it might have been like 2001. And I was talking with one of my sisters. I got a lot of sisters. And so I was talking with one of my sisters, and she was telling me about her boyfriend and how he was just, getting on her nerves, and, like he was doing all of these bad things. And she was just at this point where I just hate men. And I was saying, like, no, it doesn't have to be like that. And she was like, shut up. You not that good either. And I was like, wait a minute, what? And she was like, yeah, you keep talking about how all of these women keep doing you dirty. You're the common denominator. Now, I know she was upset, but at the same time, the people that speak the most truth are people that are mad, people that are drunk, and babies. Those are the people that always tell the truth. And so I really had to look into that. And then over the years, like I never forgot it. I never forgot it. And then, it really hit me like I am the common denominator. What is it about me that keeps drawing this same person, this same over and over and over again? And I started figuring out. So for myself, it was I grew up a single mother. So it was me, my mother, and my sister. And she would date, and my mom, to me, greatest woman in the world. Right. So I couldn't figure out why she couldn't hold on to a relationship. So the answer to me, it had to be because of us kids. And so one thing that I grew up thinking is like, okay, when I get older, and if I date a single mother, then I'm going to make sure that I'm there for her and I'm there for the kids, and I'm never going to leave, and, da 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 da. And then just growing up, I never really thought about it, but that was my pattern. And so every woman that I dated was about the same size as my mother. Um, Always single mother. Um, but what I didn't realize is in that point, just because they're a single mother does not mean that they deserve, this is going to sound horrible. I'm going to say it anyway. It doesn't mean that they deserve. And so before my mom passed, she tried to tell me that, in her own ways. Like, you don't have to date everyone with a kid, or how she would say it was, I really like her. I just don't like her for you. And I never understood what that meant until I started doing work on myself. It was like, just because, she might remind you of me does not mean that you have to be with her. And so once I started deep diving into that, it was like, oh, okay, so now what can I do to kind of reverse this situation, or just figure out what I really want in a person, and then be that person, because you attract who you are, not what you want. And so if I can be that person, I can attract the person that I want.
I love that. I was taking notes. You attract who you are, not what you want. And I'm seeing more and more of that. I was just in a relationship Zoom yesterday with Kathy and Gary. So, they're reiterating the same thing to there as well.
Mm,
People who are um, finding the same frequency, the same type of person with a different face.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, if you're not ready to receive it, like you can run into your person. I tell people all the time, it's like you might run across your wife, your future wife, or your future husband. But if you're not ready for them, you're just gonna walk on by.
Mm.
Or God forbid, you do run into that person and y'all start a relationship, but you're not ready, you're gonna get rid of them because they're not familiar. So there's no spark, there's no electricity, no chemistry, because they're so unfamiliar. That chemistry comes with things that are familiar. And that's why you keep dating the same person over and over again, because you might say you want this, but then what you really want is what you keep ending up with.
Mm.
And so you really got to sit down and figure out, okay, why is that? And then start figuring out, okay, now you got to be honest with yourself. It's like, is this what I really want? And if it is, you just have to be okay with that. But if it's not, then you got to start doing some work. And you got to start doing some work on you.
And I'm curious, as I'm learning more about feminine and masculine, like what are your take or what are your thoughts on that?
I really believe that people can flow back and forth through each. But if you have a person that is masculine, and so it's hard for two masculines, and not a set in a way of two males, just two masculine personalities. When they come home, there's going to be a lot of headbutting. But then if it's two feminine energies, there may not be any decisions made. So if you can flow back and forth throughout, some occasions, she may have to be more masculine. A guy may have to be more feminine and vice versa, whichever works for your relationship. But just be willing to be able to flow back and forth and be what's needed. Because we all have both sides in us.
Yeah, that's so true. And something that I was realizing as I was, doing self-development is that if I showed up more masculine, then maybe my family would love me more. As a firstborn in a Japanese family, the boys like really get more attention, and I'm the firstborn as a female, and I was like, well, I somehow got in my head that if I was more masculine, then I would get accepted and be loved more, which would have never worked, right? So it's just like, what are we creating, or what was I creating throughout my whole life, and then realizing through doing some self development, through doing the work, that I can be my feminine self and it's okay.
And that's the thing, is like, if you grow up thinking you need to be more masculine for love, then when you start going out and searching for relationships, you're thinking you have to be more masculine to be loved.
Mm.
And then you're going out and you're meeting guys and you're bringing all of this masculine energy. And a lot of times guys don't know, especially masculine males, don't know what to do with that energy. It can seem cool at first because you're more assertive, you know what you want, you're going after what you want, and they feel like, oh, I'm what she wants, so she's going after it. But then after a while, that can get a little tiring, especially if he's a masculine male, because that's where the headbutting starts going in. And not being able to step into your femininity, it can be really tough sometimes, right? A lot of times. You don't have the confidence to be able to do it because you're thinking like, okay, if I do, going into my femininity, like, am I going to be accepted? Are things gonna fall off? Are things gonna drop off?
Mhm.
You know, I'm used to handling all of these things, and feeling that being masculine means, um, you know, being able to do everything, right? Is like if I'm in a masculine state, I can handle anything and handle everything, and I don't have to show emotion, and I could just work, 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 work. And that is not what being masculine has to be about. Everybody can work, 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 and everybody can show emotions. So it doesn't have to be exclusive, if that makes sense.
So being able to just flow between as needed, I guess. Or
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah. I mean, and at the end of the day, just be happy with being yourself.
Mhm.
And so if you have more masculine energy and that's who you are, be fine with being that. But you don't have to force it, especially force it for someone else's love, because that's never going to work. The love has to start with you. It's like if you want someone to love you, you got to start off by loving yourself. And then you'll attract people that also love themselves, but also have the capability of loving you. Because if you're not loving yourself, you're going to attract people who also don't love themselves. And now you're in a make me happy war. You're dependent on them to make you happy. They're dependent on you to make them happy. And then, it's great when it's high, but when it's low, oh, it's a struggle. It's a
Mhm.
struggle. And that's when the finger comes back out, the blaming finger.
And so how can people be more aware of that? I'm curious. There was a time, I will say a few times probably, in in my relationships where I was just like, okay, well, I had a bad day. Well, I had a worse day, right? And it's just like competing whose day was worse. So then we don't have to take
Hmm.
responsibility. And that also didn't work. and and I was like,
Exactly.
okay, well, how can people recognize that?
So it has to be something that you do consciously. It has to be intentional. And
Mhm.
so one thing that I do is when I'm driving home, I start focusing my mind on when I get home, I'm going to be positive. So it doesn't matter what happened at work. It doesn't matter what happened on that crazy drive from Waikiki to Kapolei. When I get home, I'm putting my mind into a place of happy, calm, and joy. And those are the things that I want to bring into my household. And so when I walk into the house, it doesn't matter if my lady's had a bad day. She gets to let that bad day go to me, and she gets to get that off, and I'm not going to compete with her. And so it gives her the opportunity to raise her vibration instead of me lowering my vibration to her bad day. And then what I've learned over that time is she started doing the same thing.
Mhm.
And so now we're both having good days. And then if we start off with the good things and then we've had bad moments throughout the day, we can discuss the bad moments, but it's always followed up by, and today was a good day, you know.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that so much, Joe. Thank you. And I would like to ask if is there any last thoughts that you have that you would like to share with the audience?
Definitely. I would just say make sure that you are in control of your happy and you're just doing all of the things that make you happy, and then you'll attract happiness.
I love that so much. And please tell everyone where they can find you.
TheRightOneThisTime.com. So I have my own website, y'all. Check me
Yes.
out.